How can a luxury wedding planner help maximize a 6 and 7 figure wedding budget? Hello, my friends, and welcome back. My name is Andrea Eppolito, and we are here celebrating life luxury and above all else, love. This is such an interesting question, and it came across the website. And so many people feel like once you get into the luxury space, when you're spending $200,000, $300,000, when you're spending $1 million, that there is no budget, and so it really doesn't matter. Nothing can be further from the truth. Money matters. It's not the only thing that matters, but money matters, and it needs to be discussed, especially when you are making such a large investment in your wedding day. Now, when it comes to what does a wedding cost? Can a wedding planner help me maximize my budget? When I see that, what I'm hearing is, can a wedding planner get me a discount? Can they save me money? And it's a great question to ask. The answer, by the way, is sometimes, normally, yes, of course. But there's a better question. And the better question is, will you, as my wedding planner, be better at spending my money than I would be? Will you maximize the dollar so that everything we spend really pays off in an emotional way? Are you going to spend my dollars in a way that feels intentional, or are we just being wasteful and spending to spend? So let's really talk about this because it's so important. Number one, people ask me all the time, what is my wedding going to cost? Truth is, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to cost because we haven't planned it yet. We haven't designed it yet. We're just starting this conversation very often. I don't have enough information to give you an exact number with any real sense of certainty. What I can tell you, and what I tell all of my clients, is your wedding is going to cost whatever it needs to cost in order to give you the experience that you want. Not a dollar more, not a dime less. We are going to spend what is appropriate in relation to what it is that you want. Now, that's a really big and important thing. It doesn't mean we don't go in with a guiding principle. We always have that conversation first. And then we say, now that we understand that, now that we understand that I'm going to respect the money as if it was my own, let's talk about where we're comfortable. Let's talk about what we want. And then let me explain to you what the dollar buys. So the first thing that a luxury wedding planner is going to do is they're going to educate you. If you're out there and you're reading blogs and you're looking at a lot of like the most popular sites, you may be getting information that is more geared towards a quote mainstream wedding. And so that doesn't always translate into the luxury space. The price of flowers, the price of food, the price of wine and labor. There are so many different types of labor. There's skilled labor, there's unskilled labor, there are craftsmen, there are electricians, there's union and non-union. All of these things are very different when you get into the luxury space. And so the first thing that your wedding planner is going to do is educate you on what does it take, who are the people, what are the products, what are the things that need to come together in order to produce this vision that we're developing together. And then once you understand that, then you set the parameters. Then you say, okay, we as the couple, we as the client are comfortable spending somewhere between here and here. So these are our brackets. As a planner with integrity, I don't take you outside of that bracket unless I am asked, unless I am given permission, unless someone comes to me and says, what do you think of this? At which point I say, that is not currently on the budget. Not that you can't afford it, because of course you can, but that is not something that we have agreed to in advance. And so if we want to go down that road, understand that this is the financial commitment. The second thing that your planner is going to do after they educate you is they're really going to talk you through the allocation of the budget. They're going to talk to you about how the money is going to flow. Now, my husband has told me this a million times. I've said it on here. A budget is just a list of priorities with a number attached. And so my job is to help put the biggest numbers on the things that emotionally move you and that take you to a place of joy. If you really care about video, if you love video, if you want to be able to watch it every year on your anniversary, like my sister and her husband do, then we're going to go out and we're going to find somebody who's really a cinematographer, who has a great sense of editing, who knows how to tell a story. And if you don't care as much about a harpist going down the aisle before you walk in, then we don't need it. The budget is about figuring out where your priorities are and then allocating the numbers in the best way possible. The next thing that your wedding planner is going to do when it comes to maximizing your budget is vendor negotiations. Now, I will say this, I have never gone into a vendor and said, I need a discount. I've never said, can you give me a discount? I believe fully that the people in this industry, number one, are worth every single thing that they charge. But number two, I believe that if somebody is charging a certain price, that their business model understands what it is and why it is. And so I'm not going in and saying, can I get this? Can I get that? Can you give me? What I do instead is I say, this is the vision. This is what I would like to accomplish. You are my first choice as a vendor. You are the partner and the colleague that I believe will do the best work to take my client to this place. This is the budget that I have. Does it make sense for us to work on this? Does it make sense for us to go down this path together? And 98, 99% of the time, the vendor will come back to me and say, absolutely, yeah, it does. Now, one of the biggest reasons that my clients do receive some sort of consideration in terms of pricing is because I don't take commission. Everyone says they don't take commission. A lot of people lie. I don't take commission. I never have. It's such a big deal for me that it's even in my planning contract so that you know there's no money, there's no favor, there's no anything happening behind the scenes that is going to drive your price up. And so, because my partners know that I'm not taking from them, they are very often very generous with you as the couple. A client is going to look for cost control as well. And so the planner needs to show that they can actually manage the costs on the day. Now, one of the places that this becomes the most evident is with labor and with your venue. Because in order to produce a big luxury wedding, we need a lot of time in the venue. And so I am always really leaning into negotiating with the venue on how we can have access to this space for a longer period of time so that my teams can do better work. What that also does is it allows me to manipulate the labor when people start, when people stop, that we're not necessarily doing overtime, so that I can make sure that we do things the right way. We do things the way we need to, but we're not doing it in a don't worry about the final bill kind of way. You need to be able to monitor the budget to make sure that if you see something creeping up, whether it's scope creep, guest list creep, anything, that you are able as the planner to go back in and say, no, we need to rein this in. Another way that your luxury wedding planner is going to help you maximize your budget is that they're going to look for creative solutions. Now, people will say, but I know my wedding planner just wants me to go and spend more. Not true. That's never the case. No, well, I can't say that. Sometimes you do have a few wedding planners that are like, let's just do it. But from my perspective, if I know that these are the dollars I have, I really want to maximize every single dollar. I want to spend $1 and make it look like we spent two. Why? Because it reflects so beautifully on my work. If I can extend the impact of your investment, my work just looks and feels that much more extraordinary. And that's what leads to us having a long-term relationship. It's also what leads to my next client because they will find me based on the work. And so I am always looking for creative solutions that will allow us to buy something once and then use it again and again. So a very simple, easy thing that I can pick out are the flowers that are often going down the aisle in a ceremony. I always like to make sure that my aisle is lined with beautiful pieces of florals. Now, you're only in that ceremony space for 15, 20 minutes. It's why we're here. It's really the biggest, most important 15, 20 minutes of the day. but I want to extend the use of those florals. So oftentimes, what I'll do is after we have used them, I will have the crew go during cocktail hour, pull those flowers off the aisle, and set them someplace else, generally either around the cake or on the stage. Why? Because this is a creative way to pay for something once and use it again and again so that we're not being wasteful and that we're really squeezing every bit of the investment that we can. One of the biggest things, though, that I do as a wedding planner when it comes to making sure that I'm managing my client's budget is I am their quality assurance. I am the insurance policy because I know that this vendor who's charging $18 for a chair shows up late and shows up 2 hours behind, and that their chairs are generally nicked or they wobble or there's something with them that doesn't work. But I also know that for $19, I get a perfect, pristine, beautiful chair every single time. I know that that vendor shows up early. I know that they stay to make sure that if anything is broken, that somebody is there to fix it. I know that at $18, there's nothing extra on the truck if I have an oh my God, someone extra showed up moment. But I know that at $19, I have a backup. So my ability to provide you with quality, to spend your money in the best way to make sure that you have the best experience is one of the most important things that I do to maximizing your budget. Let's look at it with somebody like a photographer. If you love your photos, you love photos, you want your wedding photos to be big and beautiful and glossy, and you want them plastered all over the house, and you have a plan for how you're going to use them and share them. Getting you a photographer who has a 6 month turnaround time is going to be so difficult and so heartbreaking for you and so frustrating because that photographer is either super busy or they're editing by hand or that's just their process. Instead, I can point you to a photographer that I know is going to get us 50 to 100 images within the next 2 weeks, and that all of the other images are going to be to you in 3 months. It's a way to ensure that you know what you're paying for, that you're actually getting something that is in line with your expectation. Because at the end of this wedding, when everything is done and the last table has been broken down and you are back in your suite with your new spouse, I want you to look at each other and say, every single penny we spent was worth it, and I couldn't have wanted anything more. Making sure that you have that feeling at the end of the night is one of the greatest gifts of my job because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to bend the universe to my will and make the world a more beautiful place for my couples. If you have any other questions about budgets, how they work, and how a wedding planner can help you maximize yours, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Until next time, my friends, celebrating life luxury and above all else love, this is Andrea Eppolito, and we will talk again soon.